take advantage. So what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the very basics of spell work. So if you guys could just put in the chat what your sign is, and based on your sign, we're going to create a customized spell. So what is the spell? What is your birth sign? The sun that you were born under. So it's the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. But let's get started on like the very, very basics. So when you are kind of thinking about doing a spell, you may think, oh, which type of spell do I need to do? Is it a justice spell? Is it a revenge spell? And in a lot of witchery, there is a lot of differences. So for example, people usually don't know the difference between banishing someone, hexing someone, and jinxing someone. So jinxing is like, they'll never have a soft pillow. They'll never be able to find their shoes. Their socks will always get lost in the dryer. It's like kind of like hijinks. It's not really like crazy or too serious. Hexing is when you want someone to be very badly hurt. So it's a death spell. It could be like an emotional death, not a physical death. Sorry, my dog's drinking in the background. So hexing is, pretty serious, and banishing is when you want them completely out of your life by any means necessary. So a lot of times when people get mad at someone, they think, oh, I'm just going to banish them. And the thing is, you can do a much better low-level spell than anything else. So you don't necessarily always have to go for the big guns or the big attitude and everything like that. So one of the very first things, sorry, my dog. One of the very first things that you should do is focus on what feeling do you want to have? At the end of the day, how do you want to feel when you go lay down in your bed or you pet your dog or you go to the park? What do you want to feel? You don't necessarily, it's not realistic to be happy all the time. So do you want, but, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but your goal should be focus on a feeling. Do you want to feel like, let's say you want to have a new job, because there's a lot of people who got laid off today. And then how do you want to feel in your job? You just want to feel like, oh, you got money coming in. You see the notification that money's hit your bank account. You're like, okay, like, what is it? What is it that you want to feel at the end of the day? And so we can't stay in that state of happiness or being giddy or anything like that. So what we need to do instead is focus on one thing that will annoy us. So I'm going to give you a very easy example. So when I first moved into my building, I'm on the 17th floor. So it is a lot to get up the parking ramp. And I did not realize how annoying it was to get up on the parking ramp. It's so annoying. You guys have no idea. So it's a long drive. People drive crazy. So I get annoyed. So think about the one thing, how you want to feel from your spell. You want to feel relieved that you got a job. You want to feel, relieved that you moved into a new building, that no one knows really where you are. But then also figure out what your annoyance is going to be. So I had a friend, and she wanted to lose a lot of weight. She went on Ozempic. And I said, what would be one thing that would annoy you? She goes, I think it would be really annoying to get nonstop attention from men. I was like, okay, well, that's what your annoyance is. She wanted to feel skinny. She wanted to feel confident, but she focused on that one drawback. I said, so anytime you're kind of manifesting your spell, tap more into the annoyance than you do into the good feelings, because as humans, we're more hardwired to be annoyed than to be happy. And then she went on to lose like a lot of weight. Now she looks like a skeleton with like teeth popping out, which apparently is all the rage in Hollywood. So there she goes. So focus, the very first step, focus on your goal. What do you want to feel? Relief, happiness, you want to feel sexy, all of that. And then your annoyance, after a while, no matter if you do a glamour spell, after a while, your sky high heels are going to be annoying. It's going to be like, too much. So focus on that, or, feeling too tight, or having to take your dress off, or any of that, like that, when you take your dress off and you like can't always get the zipper, that could be something for glamour magic. So then once we really figure out, so another thing that we talked about is kind of tuning things down. So if you really like someone, or you miss someone, or some relationship ended or whatever, you can do a love spell, yes, but a love spell is more about domination. And if you really want to talk to someone, hash things out or whatever, you can do a communication spell. So whatever like full blown thing you want to do, take it down a few notches, because it's easier to say, "Oh, I want $1 million," but sometimes all you really want is like 10,000 or 1,000 or 100 or $10. So tone down how big you want to go in your spell, because a lot of times witchery is very soft. It's very it's almost like a whisper instead of a shout. And I think because we're watching so much on social media about all these weird people, probably in psychosis doing these spells, we think, oh my God, I have to go so strong. And you don't have to go strong. You don't have to go strong at all. But once you know what you're going to do, once you know the feeling you want, the annoyance, and you've toned it down just a little bit, then we're going to start gathering our material. So what I did today is I have my jar, and I have a couple of things to help us. Okay. So I have a corporate job, very much love my corporate job, all of that good stuff. So, but the thing is, I can't spend all day. So my money comes from my corporate job. It doesn't come from my witchcraft. And which I prefer it that way, because I don't want to start selling you guys crystals or anything like that. But whatever you have in your kitchen is going to be what works best for you, because it'll have your energy on it. My thing that I love to get, and I get it downstairs in my building, it dropped, so I'm going to have to get it later, are tea bags. Okay? If you tea bags, you already have all the herbs that you want. So this one is Sweet Dreams, and I really love it because mint has a lot of uses. It's, it makes you see clearly. It gives you a peace of mind. So if you are wanting to know what's going on and you can't get a strong sense of what's happening, who's talking about you, like what's the situation, mint is always good. And chamomile keeps you very, very calm. So this has everything that you need. So you kind of have to pick your vessel. So I have a couple for us. For my fire signs, a very, very, very easy to use tea light. And what a lot of people tell you, oh, you need to use all these different colors and everything like that. Sometimes you just don't have the money to go and get these. You can get these at the dollar store. They're like $1 for like 50 of them, I think. So you can do that. Mine has, I don't know if you can see it, mine has glitter because these were a birthday present. So we have our jar. Our jar is good for anyone who has a water sign or is also an air sign. So I'm an Aquarius, Sun, Libra, Moon, Sag rising. So you can use the cup a couple of different ways. You can also use essential oils. Okay, so this one, I am a mint person. So this one's all the feels. So this one is, a lot of citrus and mint. So like my favorite smell is Pomegranate Noir from Jo Malone. But you can get these essential oils and they're really, really great. So you can pick what you want. You have your jar. You have your bottle of water. I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not showing up. You can have your bottle of water. So it's your jar, your bottle of water, and your candle. So those are really what your basics are. So you can say to yourself, oh, I want to, I just want to work with a bottle of water or this, that, and the other. What I'm actually going to show you now is the easiest spell to do. But before that, before we do the spell, and I'm going to show you how to do a jar spell, because a jar spell is relatively easy. Okay. A jar spell is relatively easy. What you need to do now is you need to cleanse. So we have our intention, we have our annoyance, we've gathered all of our resources, our ingredients. You can even get these little patches. This one is rose geranium, and geranium is for communication. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But cleanse your home. So my father is Cuban. So most Cubans, when they are going to do a spell, they want to have a clean home. So if you are wanting to do a spell and you don't know where to begin, start cleaning your home. I clean my home for like a good half hour, and I also have a maid. So the house is clean. So make sure your house is physically clean. You can do a sonic clean. So that means you can go on YouTube and you can get any of the Tibetan bells. You can I have recently discovered gongs, so planetary gongs, which are like the greatest thing ever. God, they're amazing. And then let's see what else. Your favorite song, 528 HZs, any of the frequencies, a gong, the bells, anything you can think of, just put it on and put it in different rooms of your house, your iPad, your phone, your laptop. Smoke cleanse. I'm going to let you know right now, I don't do smoke cleanses. My animals, well, I just have one right now, do not like the smoke. So you can burn a lot of things. I don't burn anything other than mugwort. So mugwort is about emotional balancing, which relates back to me being a Libra moon. You don't need to burn a lot if you don't have a haunting or anything like that. If it's going to bother your animals, don't do it. So one way to get around this is you can do essential oils. I have a diffuser. So I have the diffuser. You can do that. If it's really bad, you can go to your sink and you can put all your herbs into the sink and you can clean that way. You can put that water in a spray bottle with some herbs and you can go around your house. That's what I used to do in my old place. I used to go around with a spray bottle and so when you want to bring in, you go counter. When you want to draw out, you go counterclockwise. So that's how you would take your spray bottle and go around the house. And you can do it that way. So smoke. I burn mugwort. I love cedar and I love rosemary. There's a lot of talk about, is sage ethical? Is Palo Santo if you really want a sage, buy from a Native American shop, do whatever. I just happen not to like sage because it reminds me of Thanksgiving. And then I want to eat like sweet potatoes. So I'm like, So don't feel like, oh, I don't want to sage. I don't want to use Palo Santo. I can't use anything. Burn some rosemary, burn some cedar, burn some mint. You can burn lots of things. But again, let's say you're like, well, I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't have time. Stick it in the crock pot. That works as well. As long as there's a scent, you have it. So you have tons of ways to clean. So you physically clean your house and then sonically, scent, however you want to do it. In a lot of Cuban cultures, they have a floor wash. You clean with rue. And then, so your space should be clean. Okay. Then next, what you need to do is you need to have a divination tool. You need to have like tarot cards or anything like that. One way that you can make things go really fast is if you flip a coin, heads or tails, whatever you want. Let's say that you're in a hurry, you want to do that, heads or tails. It's perfectly fine. So you have that. Okay. So let's say that you flip a coin and the coin tells you say heads, I'm going to do it, tails, I'm not, and it keeps showing you, and it shows you tails. Do not flip that coin again. Do not do 2 out of 3, 1 out, all of that. That's going to bring very bad luck to your spell. Flip the coin or pull a tarot card or whatever you have it, and don't argue with the gods. Just be like, okay, well, it's not my time to do it. And then that's it. Okay. So you always have to make sure that when you're like, and it's almost always after the cleansing, that you're going to have a better sense of whether or not you should do the spell. If you really feel compelled to do the spell, I would say do it, but just know that if it's not the right time, it's not going to hit. Because I would say 98% of life is timing. So what is the best time for you to do a spell, just in general, speaking of timing? I would say it depends on what you want. So you can go with this. Okay, so there's 3 ways you can do it. You can do it with the cycles of the moon within your own body. So, like your luteal phase, your, all the phases. I can't think of them right now at the top of my head. But like your luteal phase and, your inner winter and everything like that. So you can do it with your personal moon. You can do it with the moon outside. So what I talk about a lot in my podcast is do not cast spells during full moons. Okay, I'm going to lift my glasses for this because I say this all the time. Full moons are for celebrating. It's for having a nice dinner. It's for, that advance of someone is, it's like a form of celebration before it happens. So that's why you shouldn't do that on a full moon, is because you're kind of, when you're doing magic during a full moon, you're not respecting the time. So a new moon is actually the best time to do a spell, because that in nature is when you're planting seeds and things are very fruitful. So that is one way. So the new moon, the waxing of the moon, when it's growing stronger, is when you should be taking action. So action, strategizing, like doing everything to have it happen. The full moon is your break, where you kind of, think things out a little bit, let things fall into place. And then the waning is when you're reflecting if things went well, if they didn't go well, all of that. So that's kind of where you're at. Think of your inner moon, your outer moon. And so let's say that you're like, no, I really need to get this done. It's not the right phase of the moon. Then you can work with the phase of the sun. So dawn, pre-dawn hours is the new moon. Up until, so dawn is the new moon. And then when it's light outside from like 8 to 11:30, that is the waxing moon. Noon is the full moon equivalent, and then after that the evening is the waning time. So you can pick a time during that time to also do your spell. Okay, so we got that. And then we're going to talk about the elements very briefly. So I talked about this in my other class. So here is our jar spell. Okay, here is our fire. I'm lighting my tea light. Okay, so you can put your tea bags on there, any local flowers, anything you can think of. So you have your candle, you have your jar, and then you have your glass of water. And I don't know how I'm going to do this. I did this the other day on camera. So what you do is you have your fire, you take your glass jar, okay, you put it over the fire. That smoke is going to create the air element. So the tea light created the fire element. Okay, we're just waiting for it to burn out a little bit. Okay, so we have the smoke. What do we do while we still have the smoke? We pour our water. We pour our water in, and then we drink it. Because we are the earth. Okay, so once you're done with that, your jar is ready to go. You can put oil in it. You can, again, put the tea lights. Sorry, not the tea lights, the tea bags. You can put that in there. And then put your oil, put your herbs. So what do you do when you want to do your intention before you want to seal it up?
You talk into the jar and you tell the jar,
you know, what you want to have happen. And that's how you do it. And then you put the lid on, and then you take the candle and you put it on top and you let it burn, and you let the wax kind of create a seal. If it's a hex, if it's a banishing, or if it's a jinx, then you want the entire lid sealed, but otherwise you can just put it on top. And you can do a couple of things. You can write your sigil, your heart, your money sign, your peace of mind, your whatever. You can write that in the wax on top. Let's see what else. Or you can write your name. So let's say that you want to just do a candle spell. So I showed you how to do a jar spell. I'm going to show you very quickly how to do a candle spell. Take this, write your name, right? So mine would be Aunt M, okay? And then I put my date of birth, January 30th. You can put the time that you were born. And then you can talk about what you want. So if you're using a pillar candle, write up to bring something in, write down to take something out. Use the candle and put your intention on the candle. What do you want to have happen from the candle? Whatever you want, put it in there, and then you burn the candle and you let it go out. What if you don't have a lot of time? You use your birthday candle. Write it on a birthday candle. Use a white one. You can put some herbs on it. And there you have it. Those are some ways that you can do a few spells. So, what happens if you want to like kind of refresh your spell? You can do a couple of different things. You can shake the jar and get the spell that way. Kind of revive it. You can create a mantra for yourself. So the most effective mantras rhyme. So, for example, my wounds are healed, my new path is revealed. Something like that. However you want to do it, make sure that it rhymes. If it's one line, perfect. Wounds healed, path revealed. Something like that. Something that you'll really, really remember, and you can say under your breath. You can, if you are too focused on your spell working, it's not going to work. It's kind of like the watch pot. So there's a couple of different ways that you can kind of help yourself along. So there's the I like the healing vibration sound baths. So I put those on, and anything that has to do with your sign. So he has a series that it's like, and these are all free on YouTube. I'm not getting any commission. So you can do the one for your sign. So sometimes I like to, if I'm in the mood, a very long sound bath will be my Aquarius, Sun, Libra, Moon, Sag rising. So that's all the sound baths. So I feel balanced. And sometimes when we want to take a lot of action, we have to actually wait for things to come to us, like especially if you're a human design projector. So I would listen to like the divine feminine sound baths, any sort of sound bath that evokes like receiving energy, which is usually feminine. Okay, so we have that. And then what else? Take a trip out in nature, go to the beach, go to the PARK, put some good energy into the community. If you're someone who doesn't have a community, you can start today. When I first moved here, I did not talk to anyone in my old neighborhood. I had to make all my friends from scratch in the park. And then now I got like with dog group going like within 2-3 months, but it was weird at first because I had been part of a dog park for like 20 years. So go out and, you know, work in the community, do some community stuff. You need to do that. Let's see what else. I think that's it. Let me see what time it is. So I was going to use this part to take some questions. So let's see what we have. Before we did this, I asked if you guys could see what your human design profile is. So I'm going to read actually from my notes real quick. You have the generators, so you have the projectors, you have the manifesting generators, and you also have the reflectors. So for those who are generators, you're going to go and you're going to say, my gut guides me. For projectors, you have to wait for the invitation. So you say, I sit in recognition as I wait for the invitation. People come to you because we have I'm a projector. I'm a 3/5 splenic projector. We have such a penetrating aura that we have to wait till people are ready because we can be intense. And then manifesting generators, like they just take action. They are very driven people, like captains of industry. Unless they're a nepo baby, they're usually manifesting generators. And reflectors, they have no energy sources, so they have to kind of rely on their experience. So if you're any of those profiles, you focus on generators, focus on their gut. Projectors focus on recognition and invitation. Manifesting generators focus on taking action. And reflectors just tap into your experience more than anything. So that's kind of what I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you the spookiest Friday the 13th. Take care. Bye.